Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's been a couple of days since I posted, but I figured I'd give you guys an update on what I'm doing. As you guys know, the league's essentially over. We have a little bit of time left. I have five more days than you guys do. Excuse me. I had to adjust. I had five more days than you guys do because I am on console. Console League launches 5 days after the launch of PC League, so I have 5 days to kind of see what I'm going to do. Chances are it's going to be an iShot build, but we'll see how things go. As you guys know, we have we have basically accomplished pretty much everything we came to accomplish within the span of this league, and as such, we didn't really have very many goals, but we ended up, kind of stumbling across a goal, I guess you can call it, in
Greetings.
what we acquired. Now, if you can't tell, we have some new items here. This is definitely not iShot anymore. So let's go ahead and throw in our contract, and then I can go over my build and why I chose what I chose. Alright, so first things first. There is a couple of things that I must mention. First and foremost, I tried doing 6 or 7 different Val skills because I didn't want to be just another one
Take
of
a
the
deep
lightning
breath
strike
before we
ones.
head in. Might be your
It
last.
didn't work out too well. Unfortunately, Pathfinder is the only ascendancy you can really do it with, and um, Lightning Strike is the only one you can really spam it with. There might be a couple others. I tried Cold Snap, but I couldn't get Val Cold Snap to work at all. I don't know what I was doing wrong or whatever. I don't know a lot about Cold Snap. Kind of out of my element. But I'll go ahead and give you guys a brief but really clear explanation on how this build works in case you do decide to get these gloves and or want to make them work however you can get them to work. First things first. These are the Hate Forge gloves. So I've seen a lot of different streamers, by a lot I mean 4 or 5, and a couple players on YouTube mention these gloves, and I even saw a build that was on console that some guy gave away that kind of explained it a little better, but there's a couple of things you need to know. First and foremost, the absolute dumbest thing you can do to these gloves, in my opinion, again, my opinion, is corrupt them. And here's why. If you corrupt these gloves, you can no longer divine them. If you can't divine them, you can only use them for one skill, which makes them even more isolated. So that being said, Lightning Strike isn't the only skill you can use them for, it's just the only skill currently that you can spam. Do I think they'll nerf this? Yeah, probably. Um, maybe not, just because they're only going to be used in standard, but I don't know. I feel like history of Infinite of anything tends to come back to, is it really balanced and should we keep this in the game? However, I did hear that it's not going core and they're rebalancing it for the next league. So who knows? Maybe they'll nerf it next league. Maybe they'll keep it so people in standard can play with it. But this guide is going to be a kind of an in-depth guide on what you can do to make this work out. So, if you guys have seen the other videos, you'll know that there's an infinite rage loop. So, as you can see, we have 50 rage here. If we pop our flask now, and then we do Val Lightning Strike, we literally just hold it down. I'll wait for the sound to dissipate. And we basically do it infinitely. We are a flask finder, so that is part of how we do it. Now, the flask we pop is a soul catcher, divine to have perfect 40% reduced, and it has a really decent roll with the increased damage with Val skills and Val skills crit. So we do have, a pretty good roll this. And then the infinite loop contains a couple of moving parts. First moving part is the Chains of Emancipation. Chains of Emancipation say when you lose temp chains, you gain max rage. Immune to curses when you have at least 25 rage. enemies that hit you inflict temp chains on you. So the biggest lines here is the temp chain. When you lose temp chains, you gain max rage. So what happens is the Hate Forge makes my Val Lightning Strike cost a total of 26 mana. Because I have a decent amount of mana regen, the 26 or the 24 rage go sorry, not mana, 24 rage goes from 24 to 25 immediately to 50 and back down and up and up, down and up again. Now, we accomplish this by using the Rot Blood's Promise Ring. Now with this we have a temporal chains socketed in. Now this can be a level 1 temp chains. I just happened to get this for 1x, so I just was like whatever, I'm gonna get it. And I got the ring for about 10 chaos, so I mean all in all everything but the hay forges are pretty cheap. We are using the warped timepiece, although I have seen plenty of people explain that this is not good to use. I am finding myself just kind of needing to use it. I can't figure out why you wouldn't use it. I do get that, the length of your things is a little bit less or whatever with this, and then that's fine with me because it tends to lag really bad anyway on console, PS4, you know. As you see, we have a Shroud of the Lightless. Now, there's a couple reasons behind this. First and foremost, I do plan to make crafted boots with abyssal sockets, or buy abyssal socket, double abyssal socket boots, so I can get a little bit more of a benefit from it. The other reason why is because, as you see, there's a couple of lines here that you gotta look at. First, you have 10% max life, 15% max mana. So if you go to L3, this is pretty well defined. I got this for 1x, and then I socketed it and linked it myself. It cost me a total of like an X and a half. And I don't know what they are on PC. I just know that this was worth it for me because the first line has one abyssal socket is really helpful, and I'll get to that in a second. Second line is socketed gems are supported by level 25 elemental penetration. Now, if I go here to my Val Lightning Strike, right there, you'll see penetrates 37% elemental resistance. It's all resistances. Now, as you can tell, I'm Val Lightning Strike. Why would I need to penetrate, all elemental res? Well, as you can see, we're doing lightning damage and we're doing cold damage, and we're doing a fair amount of both. And we're doing this because we want to use one of our gem links. Now, if we go, if you can tell right there, it actually says it. If we go into our gem links, we are actually using Awakened Ally damage with attacks, Anomalous, Trinity, added lightning, still only level 1. We still don't even have a level 20 lightning strike, and then not even a level 20 damage on full life. As you can tell, we're not done yet, and we're already enjoying the build and having some fun. Our Blizzard Crown is literally just lightning strikes with 3 additional projectiles and a cold essence put on it because I literally needed cold res to res cap. I actually unspec'd a node and went down 5 fire res, but because I am using Dying Sun currently, I figured it doesn't really matter. Dying Sun, in my opinion, isn't necessary. It's just what I had laying around. I have not yet fully done the build. This Onslaught Flask, in my opinion, is one of the better things because it gives you Onslaught and then it gives you all the other effects as you can see there. And all of these effects are scaled based off of our Flask Finder nodes. So we get more life, enemies that are ignited, take more damage, all that other stuff. We don't ignite currently, but we can eventually if we want to. Our shield, literally we threw a block essence on, and it happened to get mana on block. We crafted on a little bit of attack speed. It has global fizz and spell damage, whatever. It's literally just essence and go. It's nothing too crazy, it's just not even worth mentioning to be honest, but it's just there. So you can tell our moving parts are pretty random. We hit this with 2 essences, and on the second instance we got crit multi T1 flat chaos. We decided to do lightning as chaos to do even more chaos damage because we're doing so much lightning. It's just, feels good when we're doing maps and stuff like that. And then, as you can see, it's only 1 socketed. We haven't even, begun to really craft for this build. As you can tell, our rares, our only rare that is crafted is our boots that we crafted for our ice shot, which have pretty good movement speed and penetrate if we haven't killed recently. And then our links in here is just cast on damage immortal call, and then we have blood rage, and then we have dash second wind with life tap support, so we actually drain life instead of instead of that. However, I'm probably just going to drop the life tap support and figure out two other links here and a link here. This whole build is just kind of thrown together. I literally finished it like a couple hours ago and then logged off for a bit. We have cast on damage taken support here attached to Wave of Conviction, so we actually have two setups. One that'll proc a Mortal Call, the other one procs a Wave of Conviction. And then we have our Phantasmal Storm brand, which is just a chance to shock, or effective shock, I'm sorry, with Conductivity, Hex Touch, and Elemental Weakness. Awaken Hex Touch specifically, so we can apply both LE Weakness and Conductivity. We don't even have Anointment on this yet. We'll get to it eventually. And then, of course, we have the Hate Forges that are divined to 23%. Now, I will say I have tried a couple skills. One of the major skills that I have tried is Foul Burning Arrow, and the closest we got that to is 1.2-second cooldown, which is still really strong. And I recommend that if you're going to use Foul Burning Arrow, instead you use an Elementalist, and don't worry about the Flask effect nodes, because it'll still be a 2.5-second cooldown, in which case, like, you're gonna burning arrow through everything anyway, and then every time you Val burning arrow, you just nuke everything down. You can literally spam Val burning arrow every 2.5 seconds on bosses with this, so it would definitely be something worth trying. Val Rain of Arrow also does not work for infinite, however, you can get it to about a 2-second cooldown or a 3-second cooldown on a normal ranger build. Cold Snap I couldn't get to work. I might just not know how it works, so just could be me. And there's a couple of other skills that I just kind of socketed in to see if I can figure out. And one of the ones I didn't want to do was Ground Slam, because I really don't care about the slam skills. I've tried them and they're okay. That's just not my playstyle. I don't want to push 15 buttons. So back to the armor. We're going to go to 20% chance to trigger Shade Form when you use a socketed skill. This includes when you're spamming your Val Lightning Strike. So when you're sitting there spamming, 1 in 5 chance to trigger Shade Form. Now, what Shade Form is, it's also given on the replica Eternity Shroud right here. Buff lasts 1.8 seconds, and it has 100% increased stealth, 20% chance to trigger this spell when you use a socketed skill in your body armor. And if you read the text there, it says makes you immune to physical damage and harder for enemies to detect for a duration. And the duration is 1.8 seconds. Excuse me. The cooldown is 45 seconds, so you're not going to be able to spam it all the time, but it is enough to where, like, if you're in a boss fight, every 45 seconds, you're just not going to take any damage for 2 seconds, basically, and that is really strong. So, on top of all that, we are the Pathfinder Ascendancy, using as many flask nodes as we can. We didn't take this node because we already have a Corrupted Blood Flask. We just wanted these extra effect. That was better for us. We're immune to all ailments. We do have reduced elemental damage taken overall, which is huge. And then we have a Mortal Call for even less. We have increased attack speed during any flask effect, which is insane, and, movement speed. And then the tree, my tree at least, looks a little like this. We have dodge spec'd in still. I'm probably going to drop the dodge for maybe some shield nodes. We'll see. I like the dodge. It feels solid still. We have a healthy 3200 health with a 20% chance to evade and 40% chance to dodge attack hits, 30% spell hits, so it's still pretty solid. We are using a dodge flask. If I pop my dodge flask now, I go from 40 to 55% chance to dodge, which is super, super strong. 57 to 47 right there. Now, I don't have an evasion flask popped in. I'm probably going to drop the Dying Sun eventually for the evasion flask, because I don't need the projectiles or the fire res really. It's only 5 fire res, just whatever. I'll probably put in an evasion flask, and the evasion flask will quite literally make it, impossible to hit me. So, other than that, we have our instant, healing flask, which is basically we pop it, and no matter what health we're at full health because of all the flask effect. We have our Alchemist Quicksilver of Adrenaline. We end up just paying an X for it to get it real quick. And then that makes us run super quick around, mapping and around our heists, especially when we're escaping. If we go into our tree, we have, a couple of nodes here. Quick Step, we're taking Ellie Pin here. We have a little bit of Fleet Foot here for more speed. We have a Winter Spirit to convert the rest of our damage to cold. That way we're half cold, half lightning. We have the Res Evasion here, the life here. This initially all was for my bow build, so I just kind of left most of it here. It wasn't until recently that I unspec'd this whole tree here. I had that for like 4 or 5 maps after converting, along with the crit down here, and then I unspec'd and got a whole bunch of life. I decided to take these because this is a pretty good attack speed. 60% increased defenses when from equipped shield, which is just more armor basically. And then you get accuracy here, attack speed here. The accuracy isn't really necessary because Val Lightning Strike always hits. Then we have a little bit more chance to block, along with 10% attack speed, which is nuts, and then a little bit of strength dex. If we go down here, our cluster is just a 7-point voices. We have Spiked Concoction and Peak Vigor. You can actually change your secondary node. I just chose Peak Vigor because it's the first one that landed with Spiked Concoction, and I was like, that's fine. That gives us the flask effect we need. And then we have a Fragile Bloom with Corrupted Blood. I believe I've mentioned this before, but Fragile Bloom alone cancels out the life drain from Blood Rage. If you look here, our life doesn't change. Literally does not go down. Does not go down at all. Meaning we can use damage on full life without worrying about it. And it's just never going to be a real issue. It does look like it's, if you looked right there, it looked like it was at 3261 instead of 3264. However, when I look at my damage, if I go over here and we go without anything else, average damage is 9800. So we add the attack speed and then look at it again. Come on. Sorry. PlayStation's a little bit buggy sometimes. Let's try it this way. Well, it looks like my PlayStation's not going to let me show it to you, so let's just do it this way. If we go to here and go to Val Lightning Strike, it doesn't go down. In fact, I think it goes up, it's just it doesn't show it going up because the attack speed, in my opinion, isn't very effective with it. Now, the frenzy charges you get from Blood Rage obviously are. When you have more attack speed, you obviously just sit there and hit more times, but I feel like the more attack speed I get, the more I hit. Attacks per second, 3.89. If I do Blood Rage, goes to 4.27, but my actual lightning strike damage doesn't necessarily go up. And I think that's just because the way Val skills work. I'm not too sure. Either way, it doesn't go down or up, and damage on full life is still active. And because we are using currently a Gemini Claw, every single time we literally spam, we go, no matter if they hit us or not, we go from 0 to full instantly. Now this is again a total trash claw. I threw an essence on, I didn't even 3-sock it, I threw some quality on it, and that's it. Now, and I'll be able to clear, pretty much all content with this claw if I really want to. I will eventually make a GG claw, probably in standard if the build still exists or works, but we'll see. So lastly, last of our moving parts is come up here. We have a Lethal Pride Timeless Jewel. And Lethal Pride is taking Chainbreaker, which is allowing the Rage combo to continue. Chainbreaker not only gives us Rage, but allows our mana regen to generate Rage for us, as well as mana. Instead apply Rage regeneration. So we don't necessarily have mana regeneration, but we don't use mana, so that's fine. We're taking all of the Flask Effect nodes that we possibly can, and that's because we want to have 0 soul gain prevention. If you look at our Val Lightning Strike, it says 4.80. If I pop our flask and we go over here, it says 0. So, because it says 0, we can just do this. And keep going until our flask is done. And then when our flask is done, see right there, it shows the top. You're stuck at 24 for a second. What that is it's your soul gain prevention. If you're under soul gain prevention, guess what? That's counted as a cooldown. That's what I mean by you have a 2 to 4 second cooldown whenever you're doing your whole thing. So now if we do this, we actually, attack a little faster. We can actually pop this for onslaught, attack even faster. And as you see, our sound cuts out and everything like that when we start spamming. It's just the way PS4 is, unfortunately. And that's pretty much it. I hope I explained it at least a little better. Also, the reduced skill effect duration, I will go over this real quick. The reduced skill effect duration is only good if you're using a Val skill that has the tag. If you see the tag, modifiers to skill effect duration also apply to this skill's soul gain prevention. You are golden. This means you can reduce the skill effect duration 2 different ways. One, in the tree. 2, literally with the less duration gem. So the less duration gem, if you really want to not, spend the points in the tree, you can actually use that on a lot of the skills. Some of them don't work, but a lot of them do. To basically spam those skills a little bit more, and it also gives you a small more multiplier. However, I actually managed to get to a point to drop that, and I just wanted to use the points because I had extra points anyway, and I put in damage on full life, which gave me 45% more damage, and it's only level 16. It's going to give me a pretty decent amount of damage, and it gives me a little bit of life leech, which goes really well with the fact that I have insane amount of life gain on hit. Now, I will probably drop this claw for I think it's like a 48 life gain on hit claw on the implicit. The mana does nothing for me. This is just the first one I got from a guildmate, and I was just like, cool. But all in all, I do hope you guys appreciate the content. And I do love building builds and stuff like that. I wanted to kind of bring one to you and give you a breakdown of how the build works before League End. And hopefully, if you decide to follow this, or you have any questions about Hateforge because you have one or you want to get one, and you're on the fence about one, I will say this. One, they're expensive. They're not expensive for no reason, though. They're insanely good. Like, broken good. I'd say maybe you can spam Val skills, which is insane. And the biggest part is you can spend rage for your Val skills, which if you have a renewable resource of rage, as you saw there, like imagine being able to pop your Val haste, like put your Val haste on a 4 or 5 second, timer, and then you half the soul gain prevention or half the time that it cools down. So you pop it, you have 3-4 seconds of downtime, and then you pop it again. Now doing that in a couple of times in a boss fight or in a map can be really strong. So I can see why, people say these gloves are broken now. So let's go ahead and really quickly show you what it looks like in a contract.
What? No plot twist.
Now, I turned on my sound on my iShot because I like to hear the whole shattering thing. I will say, I'm still using my Herald device. I haven't swapped that out yet. I will change it eventually. So it looks like I mistimed my potion. Yeah, I did. Looks like I cleared that out. Go ahead and open up the decks. That was interesting. So honestly speaking, I can literally only pop 2 flasks and run all of these. Now, when I do get my evasion flask rolled and whatnot, I'm expecting to have like astronomical amounts of evasion and basically not have any worries. Looks like we got the double from our brooch. That's cool.
That gives me an idea for a character. What? No plot twist. We're just looking at our stuff. Use a keen eye for pretty little things. Don't be early.
Alright, we're just gonna run to the end now. Sorry, I'm trying not to... I'm trying to see my screen, but as you can see, you can't really see anything with this setup. Alright, so now you get to see me escaping. Now this is the cool part about escaping with this build. You don't have to kill enemies, by the way. I'm just doing it to get flash charges and maintain them. Oh, I got into the wrong way. So we're gonna drop a couple lightning strikes and run away. Yeah, it's really hard to see where you're going, even with the map up. Anyway, so that is that. I do appreciate you guys joining me on my adventure this league. I will be posting twice a day from now on until league end. I have a couple of ideas in mind, whether it be just me playing around with my lightning strike build, going to standard and playing some of the in-game content on ice shot, or just doing whatever. I do have some crafting videos in mind though. So if you have one on your mind, anyone at all, if you have one on your mind and you want to see a detailed, in-depth guide on how to do any kind of crafts that I know how to do, I will make a video, even if it means spending my own currency to do it. It's league end. I don't have anything in league, but I can go to standard and I can gladly craft you a whole set of stuff if I have to. Um, if it is questions about crafting methods, I can answer to the best of my knowledge or do the research. I do appreciate everyone who has been a part of my channel so far. I know I have taken a little bit of a break, but getting burnt out, you know, I needed the break. So thank you very much for watching my channel, and as always, everybody, take it easy and have a good night.